Hello, everybody. I hope you all are having a beautiful day. Aphrodite's in the background checking out the neighborhood watch. So, I just wanted to take a second to talk about some of the hidden truths behind some of the words in the Bible. And when I say hidden truths, I'm not talking about like that stuff that a lot of other people talk about, the flying magical angels and demons and the fire and the hellfire and the heaven eternals and all that. I'm here to actually specifically talk to you about what's going on and how the deception is confusing a lot of people. And so, if you've watched a lot of my other videos in the past, you've probably seen me bringing up that scripture from Exodus talking about I am who I am. I am the one of your forefathers since the beginning of Jacob, Abraham, and different ones like that. And then you'd have later the I am and then the Ten Commandments. Well, if you pay attention to the story that's going on, essentially the original law for the circumcision for the heart was the Ten Commandments. And the reason I'm saying that is because that is the chisel. That's basically how the stone is chiseled out and refined into a heart, so to speak. And so this is metaphorical. And so that's the reason why I show you guys the I am without the name of God or any names of gods or anything like that. And then I give you the Ten Commandments. And in a couple of my newer videos, I've given, you see 10 more. And the reason for that is that if you pay attention in Exodus, the law was incomplete at the time. He had came down and was trying to begin the process of creating the holy people, or the people who were set aside from the world and the people who were more spiritual. But if you remember correctly, those peoples, if you pay attention to the symbols that are used, they were into a golden calf. And that's symbolizing how they were worshiping items from the world versus actually being set apart from the world and being children of who I am. And so this is what I want to tell you all. It now, when you read those 10 commandments or the initial law, when you read those and you go back and read the Bible or anything in the Bible, if anything is being said that contradicts those 10 commandments, then essentially what you're looking at is something that is not from who I am. And that is how the serpent slithers in and takes control. If you pay attention to the story in Genesis, and if you pay attention to what's going on, if you place the proper name, I am, because what people are doing is with the name Yahweh is it's not a name, that's a phrase. It would basically be if somebody said like, I'm trying to think of an example of something I could use right now. Like so when you say I am who I am, that's basically signifying that I exist. That's basically signifying that that's who you are. And so people in this day and age, they'll say phrases like the God Yahweh, and they'll say phrases like the God Yah and different things like that. Well, properly translated, what you're saying is the God I am, or the God I am who I am. So that's what I'm trying to get people to understand. Just like the word Sabbath, that's really a phrase. It's the day of rest. And they turn it into a name. And instead of translating it for the times, they keep it as a name and it turns to a pagan god. So I'll give you an example. You go anywhere throughout that book and you can see my people. You can see who I am and where I am and where I am working. I'll give you an example. If my commandments are not to kill, and people are going around killing, then how does that follow who I am? If my commandment is to honor thy father and mother, and you go and slay your predecessors or disrespect your elders or somebody older than you or your mother or father, then how is that following who I am? If I tell you not to commit adultery and you have 800 wives, well, how would that be my king? How would that be my kindling to my fire? Do you see what I'm saying? And that's essentially what people are misunderstanding and misrepresenting. Even so, I'm going to use a couple names right now, and I just want you to understand what's going on. Even Leones, Jesus, Zeus, Deus, Theos, Gudan, Jesus, Jesus, how Jehovah, Hawa, Yeshua, right? So the words that are in the New Testament, if you really pay attention to them, are just poems of the Ten Commandments. Everything, a lot of the things that the prophets are talking about are intricate poems and punishments of people that are disobeying the circumcision. People are telling you the law doesn't matter and it doesn't exist under the new covenant. The man John the Baptist came to talk about how peaceful and merciful I am, peaceful and merciful a person should be, and how you're disobeying the law by following the law if you kill a man for the law. The fourth commandment is thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not murder. So the law becomes null when you make it okay to murder for the law. So even if you read the book, Moses struck the stone twice. Moses struck the stone twice, but he wasn't supposed to. There was supposed to be two sets of laws. And when I say two sets of laws, I don't mean that contradict each other. I mean there was two stones. They were completely broken. And then he wrote law for man because they were pagan at the time. Does that make sense? So what I'm telling people is, if you read that book now and you pay attention, I'll even link it at the end of the screen, the 20 laws or the 20 commandments, because the first 10 are set here to teach people not to be how they were before. They are words, not stones, not this, not that, and all the other stuff. Not a tabernacle. They are 10 laws that were incomplete at the time. I will post 10 more after the 10 that you first initially seen and see how they link together and complete the circumcision. So there is a very valuable scripture to me at the beginning of that book. Eat not of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, but of the tree of life. Because no matter what you're going to do, live your life. I tell people, if you were a parent, you would not completely obliterate your children. So why are you guys creating these concepts? I've said before, you didn't know anything, felt nothing, or had no knowledge of nothing beforehand. So why are you creating a paradox of pain for after you go? It's an anomaly. It doesn't exist. All thoughts of life after death are undefined, like zero under the number sign. You're not going to get any. So you're mixing a concept of what you're doing now with something that you cannot perceive once now is not here anymore, because you're using living parameters and involving them inside of death. And then it creates a paradox of fear, something I am not, something I need not to worry about, but survival and the survival of others. Because if I'm loving who I am, I need to love my neighbor as myself. Survival for me, so survival for them. You see how the law all comes together? So I'm just trying to get people to understand that if you read that book and people are going outside of the law to fix the world or do the law, then that doesn't make sense. When it is written the law is null and void, it is because you're disrespecting the law to uphold the law, to murder, to stone. That doesn't make sense. And that is why it is written the sacrifices are null and void, because they're outside of the law. So if you're going to protect the mother and father, then protect the child and women. It's a cycle. That's why I wrote 10 more. They come from who I am, to complete who I am, to make me a better person. Does everybody under the sun have to listen to me? No. I'm trying to get you guys to understand. You guys are treating something like it is a tethered, actual, physically electrical network, when it is actually of the spirit, which means we each possess it, but then we come outside of the vessel to communicate. I was telling somebody a while back, I am walking instincts. I am breath, eating, drinking for nourishment, sleeping, avoiding pain, seeking pleasure, and reproduction. Now, outside of that, outside of the genetic information that I receive, the paradox and anomaly in nature, I now am concepts. All of these vibrations coming out of my mouth that are created by the throat and the chest, vocal cords, unlock keys to memories in each of your minds. Well, so if I say the word television, Each of you will go back in your memory, into your memory, and it will unlock the door where maybe perhaps you think or see TVs, or times you own TVs, or maybe a specific TV when you liked a huge one, or maybe a time you broke a TV and you got nervous and scared, or maybe a time you were playing on a television or first discovered what a television was as a child, or maybe your favorite television show. So the word television isn't universal and actually doesn't exist. It isn't real. It is a concept we created to help us understand something in the physical world. We are walking concepts, walking words. Outside of all those concepts and words and things that we have learned, we are walking instincts. So the words that we use are the words that dictate how we live. If you would like to, you can think of it as programming, even as computers. They are basically just binary, ons and off, ones and zeros, yes and no. But then you have an intricate network of ons and offs connected everywhere. We'll call it a neural network. And depending on how the direction those ones and zeros go, and ons and offs, is where the signals will go, and what type of actions will be produced, what types of programs will be executed, or what type of actions will be executed within the software. When I say executed, I don't mean murder executed, I mean actions completed, if that makes sense. Okay, so I'm getting a little too scientific. What I'm saying is, when I speak of spirits, I'm speaking about what the human creates with what words it receives. So as I've said before, somebody can walk up to me and call me the N-word, and I may get offended, depending on my experience, my environment, what I've learned. But somebody could say that word to somebody else, and it may not mean anything. They may laugh because it doesn't affect them the same way. And so we should move a lot of these concepts out of the way and continue walking on top of level ground again, the stone, logic. When I say the stone, you have to understand a lot of these things are spiritual to me. So when I see that Moses stuck the stone twice, I'm seeing that he wrote the initial law and then wrote a huge law, right? So that's what that means to me, and I'm sharing that with you all. And so just like how there was a set of 10 at first, now I am leaving another 10. And as I've told you all before, the one you all keep naming names, sorry. As I've told you all before, the one you all keep naming names is essentially giving the 10 Commandments. So everybody that keeps saying you don't have to follow them anymore and they are null and void, I'm telling you that is illogical. And I'm saying that you do not have to follow all of that murderous and everything else and all that other stuff. What I'm saying is those initial commandments are there for a reason. It is the base setting for our personalities from what we have evolved into. You don't want somebody cheating on you. You don't want to be murdered. You don't want people stealing from you. You don't want people robbing your house and taking everything you own. You love your mother and father, I am assuming, right? You would like a day off, right? And as I've assumed, you all believe in something that exists out there, right? And then you all think that nothing else should be worshipped or idols over that thing, right? And you all think that that thing should be respected and revered over all other things. Okay. That is the initial base personality. We have evolved over time and we are gaining knowledge. And so with that gaining of knowledge, we need to understand what the word concepts mean. We need to understand that everything is created in the imagination first, and those things need to be filtered. Things need to be dealt with on the inside, Armageddon, before coming out into the physical world, adding more meat to unnecessary fat, if that makes sense. So I hope you all have a beautiful day. I hope you all can understand that anybody that is telling you not to follow the law of Moses, okay, you need to take that with a grain of salt. See what the Pharisees, right? Listen to what they say, but look how they live. They're going to tell you, don't follow the law of Moses, but I guarantee you I guarantee you they don't want nobody murdering them, as I've said before, and I guarantee you they don't want cheated on, and I guarantee you they follow all the basics. So when I say that, I'm not picking up a rock to throw it at you saying, oh, I'm coming for you, you're going to burn. I'm saying take that away and it is easier to follow our base personalities. We are rebelling against things that don't even exist. And so you're fighting darkness. You're punching air. So when I watch religious people's videos, they all do the same thing, sitting neatly and talking kindly and all that other stuff. That's the Spirit of God. But what is coming out of their mouth may be deception, darkness, and everything else, which then goes into other people's mouths. And instead of them understanding that the person's just sitting there gaining knowledge and information and being kind, they go do what the people say, right? Do not as I do, do as I say. And then they go off and do all this left fieldish stuff, trying to catch all these fly balls in left field, if that makes sense. Getting smacked on the head every time because they're blinded by the light when it actually does come through. Playing a game of baseball with innings that never stop. A simple metaphor trying to describe the tomfoolery and the foolishness of a lot of these religious teachings. My name is not Yahweh Jeshua Joshua. I am who I am, and all other things are concepts. I pick what I need, I choose what I need, and I will not be tormented by mankind. That's all you need to understand. If I go off of the base stone and you become a murderer and all these other things, adulterer and all those things, as I've said, the 10 stepping stones to get to, it is through the Son, how you get to the Father, who gave you all the 10 commandments. What's his name? So it's the words. You see what I'm saying? So peace comes from humility and caring about others as I care about myself. If you want to hurt yourself, please go get help. Find that peaceful, loving nature. And yeah, and when I say go get help, please don't put all your faith and trust into a lot of these systems that exist. I am seeing stories of people getting towed up by the police. The VA called the police on a wellness check for somebody who really just needed to talk to somebody, and they ended up beating him up, sedating him, and putting a catheter into him. I didn't get a catheter put into me, but it sounds about right. I went to go get help, got beat up, and put in jail. Just for like months later or half a year later, them say the charges are dropped. No retribution, no nothing. So, you know, life is life. Sometimes this journey you have to do alone. You have to, but sometimes there is a community out there to help you. Just be careful, because there's darkness everywhere, if that makes sense. And sometimes other people don't want help. Sometimes other people would like to perpetuate the system of destruction because their father, well, their scriptures, you know, I don't need to perpetuate the same things. I hope you all can have a beautiful day. And remember, try to pay attention the best you can. And I'm going to say something. Sometimes it's not always about speaking. Sometimes it's about sitting back and looking and listening, even on the inside. Enjoy.
Did you get ready in the dark or something? 'Cause you look like a beautiful nightmare. Don't you know? Don't judge me. I just wish he knew. That's just like you. I miss you all the time. I need you. I want you. think you're really cool. Yeah, that's what I said. You break it, you bottom it. I miss you all the time. I need you. I want you. I know life ain't always fair. I still feel I miss you all the time. I need you. I want you. Good night. Good night.